time to strap in and get ready.
The leaders in AFL Supercoach are incoming, helping you win your leagues and climb up the rankings.
You're now listening to the Insight AFL Show with your hosts, Big Horse and Skitty.
G'day and welcome to the Insight AFL Show. I'm your host, the Supercoach Horse. And with me, we've got a special guest tonight. So the guy I've got with me, he's our lead analyst for our NFL market here in Australia on Insight Fantasy Sports. And pretty excited about the NFL coming to Australia in a couple of years. But we're going to talk about footy tonight. He is an Essendon Nuffy. He has a really good head for radio. I speak of none other than the Maverick. How are you, mate?
Yeah, fantastic, mate. I'm really well. I'm really pumped to talk footy as well, might I add. It's that time of the year where we do talk flagged on season, and you know we'll probably be disappointed by about May.
Probably. That's usually the way it goes, isn't it? That we sort of come out of the blocks fast, and then we get our hopes up, and then it gets dashed, and then we start losing games, or we start just sneaking into finals and we lose finals, and then it adds to the 7,000 and whatever else it is that we've got to wait for another finals win. So one year we'll get there. Whether it's this year or not, we're not sure, but we're here to talk Supercoach anyway. So ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, please hit like, subscribe, and the bell. Be a triple banger. We'd love that. But also, if you're listening on audio, give us a 5-star review if you enjoy what we do. It helps us get out into the Supercoach community. We're not going to waste too much time tonight, Maverick, because we are going to get stuck straight into your team. But before we do, I just want to give a shout out to our Unlimited League. So there's over 650 people in there at the moment. 356-460. I repeat, 356-460. We want to get this to over 1,000 people before the season starts. We've got roughly 2 weeks before, or less than 2 weeks actually, before practice matches start. Less than a month before the real stuff begins. Let's get it over 1,000 before that kicks off. So we've got that. And we've also got some paid leagues. Now, we've still got a $25 league, the $50 league as well. The $100 league, we're out. So we've got 2 full $100 leagues. And we've still got a couple of spots left in our $250 head-to-head league. So if you're interested in any of those, give us a shout out. We're also doing a $25 total points. So whoever's got the most amount of points at the end of the year wins. And also a $50 draft. We've got 4 positions left in our 14-man draft. If you're interested, let us know. Spots are running out quickly. Now, Maverick, sorry. We're going to get stuck straight into it. You've got the captain's armband, as the NRL nuffies would say, on Sheasel to start with, mate. Is he just locked and loaded for you? It's just a no-brainer pick?
Look, he's probably not my captain. It's only early Feb, so he's probably my most expensive player. It's probably where it's at. But yeah, no, he's locked and loaded, mate. I can't not have Sheasel in. I did see Whisperer's team reveal the other night, and he didn't have Sheasel in. Interesting decision. I don't think I trust that. I think Sheasel is the man. The engine room at North Melbourne. I think he's going to take another leap forward this year. Playing bulk midfield. He's a great user of the football. I think LDU will get it to him, and then he'll just hit up targets up forward all day. We know how good he is. So I think it's just a real safe, easy pick to start off his team. He was my first selected.
Yeah. When we're talking averages with Supercoach, ladies and gentlemen, averaged 99 in his first year. In his second year, he bumped that up by 18. It was about 117 last year. This year, we're not going to expect another 18-point increase. Otherwise, he'd be known as God in the Supercoach world. But it's not unreasonable to expect that he sticks around that 115, 118-point average that he had last year. If he does that, he's going to be D1, D2 by the end of the year. So we've seen some people fade him. We've seen some people start him. I think we're both of the same opinion, and that is there's no early buys for Sheasel. You've got him. He just stays.
He is. And at 635, it could be the cheapest you get him all year. We could see him, he could average 122, 123 and be north of 670, 680 for the remainder of the year. So it could very well be the cheapest you get Sheasel at this point in the year.
100%, mate. And if he is playing midfield and forward and not actually spending any time in the back line, then we end up with a nice DPP that you can swing around the other parts of your ground. Oh, yeah. So There's Sheasel at D1. Lockie Whitfield at D2. He just finds the footy, doesn't he? And his teammates look for him whenever they can get the ball in his hands.
Well, it's funny, mate, because before we went live, I did trade him into my squad. I did have Sinclair in originally, but I traded him out for Whitfield, spent an extra few $1,000s to get him in. And to be honest, it was a really easy decision for me because I really don't like where St Kilda are trending at the moment with their injury front. They're just going down like flies at the moment. And I'm just worried that Sinclair might move back into the midfield. So that was an easy choice. And if Sinclair plays down back, then he's perfect. Supercoach pick. But Whitfield is that guy already. He's going to take kick-ins this year. He's efficient. He finds the footy. The only bad side about Whitfield is the early buy. But again, I don't really care about that too much. If you have coverage for him, I'm not too worried.
Yeah, spot on, mate. I'm not going to argue with that pick whatsoever. And they've got a couple of outs early on with the suspensions that GWS had from the back end of last year with their Mad Monday fiasco. So to me, that just means they're going to look to get the ball in his hands a lot more. I like the fact that you brought up Sinclair as well. In today's practice match, he may have done a hamstring. So we're just going to have to keep an eye out on that and on the socials to see what's happening there. But we'll move on anyway. And look, James Sicily.
Yeah, Sicily was an easy one for me. Am I worried that he plays up forward this year? Sort of. But with the likes of Josh Battle and Barras coming into that back line this year, I think that frees up Sicily to play like a floating third man up type of intercept marker that we know that Sicily's been for majority of his career. And mate, again, at $530K, it is so cheap for a guy that was one of the best defenders in the comp. Was it 1 or 2 years ago?
For sure.
So, well, am I worried that Sicily might play up forward? Yeah, I am. But I feel as though he'll play in spurts up forward. So if they need, the last 5 minutes of the game, they're down by a couple of goals, they might swing him up forward then. I think it's match dependent or score dependent, should I say? But for the most part, I think 95% of the time he'll stay down back and just be that machine that we know he is.
Yeah. Can't argue with that either. Callum Mills, we see at D4, mate. I think that's pretty much a no-brainer with what's going on at Sydney in the preseason. He's been training as a midfielder. We saw some stuff today out of Sydney that it's him, it's Heaney, it's Rowbottom, and it's Warner that are in at the centre bounces. So, man, at $350K for someone that's going to, I'm not going to say dominate the centre bounces, but dominate time in there and have maximum opportunity to score well, that's perhaps $200K underpriced.
It is. And I'm looking to keep, with Callum Mills, just get cash out of him. So if he gets $200K between now and mid-year, perfect. And if he keeps being a primo, then I just keep him for the remainder of the year. So I have no issue whatsoever with Callum Mills into that squad. I think he's pretty much in everyone's side at this point.
For sure. And then we see 4 rookies, Bo Allen, who didn't play today, I'm led to believe, for West Coast. Sardell Hawley from Essendon, James Leake for GWS, and Buslinger, who's come massively into consideration now because of the injury to Liam Jones. So that hamstring to Liam Jones is a nasty one. It's a 10 to 12 weeker, which to me, that's almost tendon. And when you're talking tendons with hamstrings, I've done one before. You can't get back earlier than that. So there's a prime opportunity for Buslinger. What's that? Sorry?
You do it within 4 weeks, mate. You're a machine.
Oh, I don't know about that. It might take me 4 weeks to get off the couch, but Buslinger, without Liam Jones, we see that Jamara Ugle-Hagen's on a modified training program. So some injury concerns down at the Dogs. I think if Buslinger doesn't get a good crack this year, that he may end up back in Perth. He was a really highly touted junior, played senior footy as a 17-year-old, and can play all over the ground. He's played in the middle. He's played in the ruck. So in the middle, I mean as a ruck rover. He's played up forward. He's played down back. He uses the ball well. I don't think the Western Bulldogs got much to lose giving this guy a crack. James Leake, however, really like that pick. He uses the ball well and dominated the back half of last year for GWS across half back. So I think he gets a go early.
And as you mentioned before, with all the suspensions coming to the Giants, absolutely he does too. So I think he's a safe pick. Sardell Hawley, I really like him. If he didn't get injured at the end of last year, he would have came straight into the squad and probably dominated. Played twos for, I guess, when he was healthy, and mate, we saw how good he was. He was pretty much averaging 20 touches and 2 goals nearly a game. So he'll play down back, I'd imagine, at Essendon, maybe up forward. I might swing him around a little bit, but at 119K, it's safe.
Yep. A couple of questions here about the back line before we move on. Where's Jamar Chase? Don't know.
I couldn't fit him in, mate. Too expensive.
Yeah. And Damo from the Footy Mailbag. Hey, lads, that's a nice backline. Oh, well, if you got the congratulatory thumbs up from Damo, that means you must be doing all right. So he definitely knows his Supercoach, Damo. Do you want to scroll down to your mids, mate? And while you do that, your midfield is going to be brought to you by our friend, the bloke with the shittest moustache, Ryan from Astute Newstead. Use promo code INSIGHT when you contact Ryan. If you need any help with any sort of home loans, any financial situations that you've got yourself into, or if you need a hand, even if you just need to borrow a little bit of coin to go on a nice holiday, Ryan's your man. He does that obligation free for anyone who's part of the Insight Fantasy world. Now, we see that you've scrolled us down to the midfield, and there's no M. Bontempelli, but there is one N. Dacos to kick us off at M1.
Yeah, it does make me sick, to be honest. I can't get around Nick Dacos. I don't like Collingwood. I don't like Nick Dacos. But at $630,000, horse, $630,000 for Nick Dacos. We know how good he is, efficient. He may be one of the cheapest football players we know in terms of getting the cheapest touches, but that's Supercoach gold, right? He uses the ball so well. He can kick goals as well. It may be the cheapest we get Nick Dacos all year too. So, look, it was hard to fade out Bontempelli, and that may change between now and the start of the year, but at this point, Nick Dacos is in.
Yeah, I like it. So we know that Collingwood have the early bye, which is fine. And then round 0, you've got GWS that play Collingwood at GWS, right? So I'd say odds on, he'll get a Toby Bedford tag. I reckon that perhaps scares people off and he doesn't score as well. People get off him. And then we see that Morel has just disappeared. So we'll wait and see what's going on there, ladies and gentlemen. If you've got any questions for those people in the chat, let us know, because without the man doing his team reveal, there's not much more we can do. So, yeah, I'll try and bring up my Supercoach and we can talk about a few midfielders if we like, or we can go through what's happened in some practice matches today while we wait for him to reconnect. So we see today, ladies and gentlemen, the Adelaide Crows had a intra-club practice match. Pete Ling started in the midfield and did really well by all reports. Rankin was there playing centre bounces and playing forward, and apparently got leather poisoning, according to our onlookers. Josh Rochelle ran through the midfield as part of their rotation. Soligo did a lot of good things through the midfield as well. Keys rotated through there from the forward line, and Matty Crouch started on the weaker team. So that's definitely one to watch come the practice matches. We've got Sid Draper, who started off in the B team and he came through to the A team. And then we had Riley Thilthorpe, Fogarty, Big Tex, and Dan Curtin all played in the stronger side in the forward line. So that's something to watch for the Adelaide Crows. Neil Bullen, Pedler, Keys, Rochelle, and to a less extent Rankin, who mainly played mid, ran through as small forwards. And we've got him back. Dropped out,
sorry,
mate.
horse. It just completely nuked my computer.
No, that's okay.
Just going, mate.
Pop up your team, mate, so we can keep going with our team reveal of yours, and we'll get through it. We've got over 100 watching at the moment going, where's this guy's team? Is he trying to hide it from us? Unreal.
Yeah, Unreal. It could be a very good team, so I'm just trying to
it could be.
Keep it
strategically keeping it away. As Skitsfitz is saying, your team was too good that Supercoach had to shut it down. Kiz's hot take. Everyone that comes on the pod has a beard or a mo, except the man who can shave in the morning and have a beard already by the. Thanks, Kizza. Yes, that's me. All right, I get it. That's me.
Yeah, pretty much, mate. It's
cooked, is it? Or yeah, I think it's cooked. So if you can hear me, Morel, send me a photo, mate, and I'll upload it and we'll go through it here. So while you're doing
back
that,
on
mate,
here, we'll see. I think that's showing now. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's loading it in now. It should be
this
coming
is
any second.
This is an absolute shit show, ladies and gentlemen. We get our NFL expert analyst on here, and he can't even get a solid internet connection. So while this is loading
easy,
up,
mate. No problem.
doesn't look like it's loading up. Send us a photo, mate, and I'll upload it into the stream. Darcy Cameron, Scott Pendlebury, Nick Dacos, and Harry Perryman started in the midfield today at the centre bounce in Collingwood's A team in their intra-club practice matches, with Steele Sidebottom and Pat Lipinski playing on the wings. Rising on baller Ed Allen was in the B team and won some early clearances against the A team. But what's interesting as well is that Reef McInnes is firming to feature in Collingwood's new look back line this year to start 2025. He started at half back today.
Yeah, well.
He started at half-back today. McInnes stationed as a deep defender to start alongside Darcy Moore, Isaac Kaynor, Jeremy Howe, Braden Maynard, and newcomers Josh Dacos and Dan Houston. So that's something to watch there as well. How you going there, Maverick? Yep, we're going real well here. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just try and upload this into our StreamYard. Well, we'll talk through it. Sorry, because we are struggling a little bit for an internet connection on your end. So we've got Caleb Sarong at M2, Tom Green at M3, Clayton Oliver at M4. So that's a fairly solid top four, mate. What's your thought process around that? So you got Nick Dacos and Tom Green with early buys, but it looks like with the rest of your squad that we'll bring up soon, you've got a fairly good strategy in order to have 18 solid players playing while not having to bird trades to get these guns in.
Good, mate. I've just sent you my team now, so we should... I might need to do a full restart.
Yep. So Morel's going to do a restart, and then he'll be jumping back on with us. I'll talk through his midfield while he does that restart. So, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Dacos at M1, Caleb Sarong at M2, Tom Green at M3, Clayton Oliver at M4, James Peatling, who started in the midfield, as I just brought up, at M5, Ollie Hollands at M6, Jager Smith at M7, and Levi Ashcroft at M8. So his thought process behind Nick Dacos is that if he gets him in now, he doesn't have to worry about getting him in at a later date. So that's all well and good. Caleb Sarong, one of the premier midfielders from last year. As we see, he's gone. So you're just stuck with me, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Green is an interesting one. Do we see a bump in what Tom Green gives us this year? So we know that Tom Green has an ability to win the ball, but then at the same time, he doesn't kick the ball and kick the ball long. It's a lot of inside handballs, and it's a lot of people are giving this guy shit for not having a stable internet connection, but that's fine. Tom Green, in order to take his game to the next level, probably needs to start kicking the ball a little bit further and hitting targets down the ground a little bit more instead of looking for that handball first type of game that he's had. Yes, it is successful for GWS, but for him to be uber premium in our Supercoach teams, he probably just needs to do that a little bit more and even up his kick to handball ratio. Clayton Oliver looks as fit at the moment as what he has all preseason. He's ripped, he's lean, he's training well, he's getting his hands on the ball, and people are raving at Melbourne about how he's cleaned up his act, and he's looking really slick on the track. So for Clayton Oliver and his health, that's awesome to hear. For our footballing teams or our Supercoach teams, to have him so cheap at 451K, you just can't go past it. That's potentially 150 to 170K worth of value that we're gaining just by having him in our sides. Isaac Cumming played today, played off a wing and did some good things, but not named in their best, Rick. Jared still worried about Clary? Well, don't be. I think he's going to be massive, mate. And when he comes back, yes, we need to get him to go down the road and tune into his Macca's Wi-Fi. Absolute unreal. Ollie Hollands, he's got at M6. So, Morel, we were talking off air before we went live. He's anticipating that Ollie Hollands takes on the role of, you've got Adam Sard down there. Nick Newman's gone down with a knee and he's done for the year. Doherty's back, but he anticipates that Ollie Hollands is going to have that run and carry out of the back line as he did the last 4 games of last year. And there was one game where he scored 116 as a back flanker. So I can see where he's seeing that. I've done a little bit of digging on that myself. And Ollie Hollands was ranked 97th in the AFL for disposal efficiency last year. For me, I think if Sam Doherty is going back there, we know that he's the master of the seagull, getting the cheap positions across half-back. It may make Ollie Hollands a little bit less Supercoach relevant, so maybe more of a draft type of pick, but it's up to you at home, ladies and gentlemen. Let's watch this during the preseason. But for me, as it stands right now, if Doherty's moving back, Hollands has probably got less relevance than originally thought maybe a month ago. Jager Smith finds the ball at will. He's an accumulator at 194K. Just get him in. He will make you money this year and he will score you well at times. He's got Levi Ashcroft at M8. He's going to make money as well. He had off-season shoulder surgery, but Brisbane have come out and said he is definitely in their best 23. For me, as a rookie, is he a sub-risk? So for me personally, I don't have him, but other people in the community do. Over 50% of the community do at the moment. But for me, that's my, my issue is that I don't see him playing full games that he may be sub-affected. How are you going there, mate? Are you right?
Yeah, you're good to go now, mate. Good to go.
Yeah. What? Just make this about me, la-di-da, whatever. I may as well just finish off talking about your midfield. I've gone through all your midfield. So you got Mitch Nevitt at 9. So I've got some good numbers on Nevitt that you actually brought up to me. I'm just going to bring them up here. So in Mitch Nevitt's last game of VFL last year, he played as a midfielder. Mitch Nevitt had 38 touches, 23 contested touches, 13 clearances, 10 tackles, and 224 Supercoach points as a midfielder for Geelong. There was an article today that has him talking on Supercoach or on the Supercoach app, on the Supercoach website, about him playing a midfield role at Geelong, and he's hoping to knuckle down that midfield role at Geelong. He's a bigger-bodied midfielder, and he's come out and said, this year is probably more just focusing on my midfield role. Hopefully I can make some Supercoach owners a bit of cash. I'm sold.
It's money for Jam, isn't it? 141K. Yep. They don't really have like Dangerfield, obviously, and Baz, who they might sort of ease into the season, but they really haven't got an inside mid, right? They're still lacking that inside mid since Joel Selwood's retired. So if Nevitt comes in, he has an immediate impact straight away, and it just screams cash. Screams
it.
Screams. Like my internet before. Screaming.
Oh, mate, about that, Damo's saying you might need to go down the road and use the Macca's Wi-Fi. Kizza wants you to sort out your dial-up internet.
So it was the share screen that just nuked my computer.
All right. Well, we'll continue on with this. Isaac Kako, everyone's favourite Kako at M10. And then Moraes, who's been starting on the wing in the A side for Port Adelaide as a rookie, 113K. Really like that pick as a rookie-style pick.
Yeah,
Rory.
Sorry. They still lack a lot. Like I know Moraes is playing on like midfield as such, playing on the wing, but they've got a massive hole in Dan Houston that they don't really know what to fill at the moment. I've been hearing Josh Sin. I've been hearing Chase Burgoyne at times as well. That wing is wide open to me, completely wide open. So if he plays round one, that is just it's a rookie that plays.
Yeah, for sure.
A very good side.
For sure. Any news on Sinclair? Potential hamstring today. Taken off the track late in the practice match. St Kilda finished their practice match early. Rossi Lyon was not a fan of what was going on, and instead of playing out the 4 quarters, just pulled the plug early. Maxi King has avoided an ACL. It's just come out in the news not too long ago, but has issues with his knee, so more scans to come. And Mason Wood has done a quad. So that's to add to the already massive injury list that is happening at St Kilda at the moment. Maybe a good opportunity for some rookies to get a go down there, but again, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens there. Cats have Cam Guthrie, if fit, to play mid as well. He's interesting. He was very Supercoach relevant 2 or 3 years ago, but I feel like his time may have come and gone.
It has. Absolutely, mate. He's a little bit cooked now, injury riddled. I don't even think he's in their best 22 at this point either. He might be on that fringe. But they're taking that next step forward now. They've got some youth in there. And they've got Baz too. So we'll see how that... They can't play Baz and Guthrie in the same team, in my opinion.
Okay. Damo pulled me up. Tom Green averaged 110 if you remove the 5 last year, so that's 4 points underpriced, even if he only replicates his 2024 season. That's why he's one of the best in the Supercoach world. So at 110, you'd be happy with that if he's in your final midfielders. Is that why you've got him in? Because that scope for upside? Or what do you say? Because while you were gone, I spoke of, I guess, his inability to kick the ball long, and he likes to he's handball happy.
So my theory behind it was, so he scored that 5 last year. He was lucky to escape major injury. He played through injury for the whole year, pretty much. A year ago, he started the year at 621,000. Average 106. And the year before, 2023, he started at 534K, but averaged 111. So I reckon this year could be the best we see of Tom Green. Okay. And if that's the best we see of Tom Green, we could see anything north of 113. Fully fit. We know how good he is. Yeah, he can't kick as well as, obviously the best of the midfielders in the comp. But in and under, he just finds the footy. He'll have 40 touches any given day.
Yeah. I guess for non-owners, the only saving grace is that if he pops off opening round and he pops off round 1, we've still got round 2. So he's got the buy in round 2, so we don't have to worry about price rises till after that.
He'd be one of the most traded in players if he goes off in those first 2 games.
Your rucks, mate. Yeah. I'd love to bring this up. So a lot of the community is going your Maxi Gorns, your Tristan Cherries. Some are going a pod play in Darcy Cameron or Lloyd Meek. Tim English is your R1.
He is. I've sort of evened out my rucks this year with Tim English. I think he had a down year last year, Tim English. I don't think it was the Tim English that we all know well of. Now with Jamara going out of the side, Sam Darcy will be playing more forward. So Tim English is probably going to be the sole ruck by himself. Is probably out of need, if anything else. Tim English was, in 2023, the best ruckman in the comp, 128 average, and then dropped to 108 last year. So I'm hoping that's just going to be an outlier. And we see maybe 115 average, and he can just split the difference.
Yeah. For those of you that weren't aware last year, Tim English, it wasn't an injury as such that, it was because he was suffering from some pretty bad migraines.
Yes.
But also the Bevo effect of pushing him forward. He never really gained consistency in his game. And I think you're right. I think if he gets a good run at preseason games, I still think he's underpriced. But we need to wait and see, I think. But you're onto something there. I think he is.
And my theory behind it was, Gorn and Sherry, they're at probably their peak in price, potentially. They're very expensive. So I wanted to save a bit of cash and use it elsewhere. I've got more of a balanced lineup, I reckon, my team. So I've gone Tim English, as I said, a number 1 ruckman in Supercoach 2 years in 2023. So, and that leads me to my second ruckman in Tom DeConing. Now I have heard whispers, the spud of what's his name?
Pitnet.
Yeah, the old Pitto. He's a big spud.
Yeah, right.
They're sort of dual rucking to a degree. Mate, Tom de Koning has had massive interest over the last couple of weeks. St Kilda knocking on the door, potentially offering him over $1 million a year. I think this is the year that Tom de Koning goes to that next level, plays every game, breaks out. He's another midfielder for Carlton, right? His second, his ruck work's obviously really good, but his second efforts, third efforts, he's like another midfielder for him. So I think he's got a point to prove this year. He's got a lot of money coming his way if he absolutely dominates too. So I love players that have a looming big contract on their head. I think they've got something to play for.
For sure. St Kilda offering him $1.6 million a year for 7 years, it's been reported. So, yeah, 1.7 mil. Sorry, I've just been corrected by Chris. Just quickly before we move on to your bench, Ruckman. Yes, English does have some internal bruising. They are just going easy on him at the moment. One, because there's no point in pushing him. He's still doing all the work in the non-contact group. But also they've got Braden Crossley there at the moment. So they're putting him through his paces in order to see whether he's going to sign the final SSP spot or whether they're going to go Dom Brew. So that decision needs to be made. I believe it's by Feb 17th. So once that decision's made, I think you'll see Tim English straight back into it and participating in practice matches.
Yeah, and look, it's not really a massive concern at the moment. It's not really going to hold him out for too long. So, Look, it's not what you want in pre-season because you want these guys training the house down, but it's more precautionary, I'd imagine, too.
Yeah. And Damo, he's wearing a Dallas Cowboys hat.
Damo's out for my blood tonight. Fair enough.
Yeah. Oh, I don't blame him. Internet shithouse, mate. Harry Boyd at R3.
Yeah.
That's kind of just a no-brainer, isn't it? You got is it McGarry Medler? So Sample, best and fairest. He averaged 40 hit-outs, 20 touches, and 10 tackles last year. Or was it 10 clearances, last year?
And he's probably going to play.
Yeah. Well, you look at St Kilda's injury list. They're not going to have a VFL team.
No. And especially Rowan Marshall too. Like he's got that niggle too. So, is he going to be ready for round one? At this stage, it's up in the air. It's 50-50.
Yeah.
It is. So if Harry Boyd plays from the get-go, and they love playing two rucks too, St Kilda. Always love playing two rucks. So,
yeah. Well, we saw the back end of last year. They pushed Rowan Marshall forward, and there were a couple of games that kicked 3 goals. So, I think they want to try and utilise that, especially now with the injury to Maxi King with the knee.
Oh.
Caminiti looks like he's going to go back and play across half back. They've lost Battle. They need help wherever they can get it at the moment. So before we move into your forwards, let's have a listen to this American guy talk about our Patreon.
Want to take your Supercoach game to the next level? Inside Fantasy Sports are bringing you exclusive content all year round, such as weekly expert Q&As, team, trade, and captaincy advice, statistical deep dives, priority podcast questions, and tons more. So what are you waiting for? Get full access to the experts. Go to patreon.com/Insight Fantasy Sports and subscribe to Insight Unlimited today.
I wish I had an accent like that, mate. Let's move on to your forward line. So for those of you that have just joined us, the Maverick has had some issues with his internet and probably didn't pay his bill. So he's already dropped out once. The share screen's gone of his team, so we've had to talk through where his team's at. Your forward line. So straight into that. Pickles is F1. And for those of you that don't know who Pickles is, it's Jason Horne-Francis. Why do we call him Pickles? Is because when he left North Melbourne, we decided that he was the type of bloke that would throw pickles on the Macca's windows and just watch them run and make the Macca's employees clean them up. So that's where the Pickles nickname comes from. He's prime, isn't he? 3rd year, showed some flashes last year.
Yep.
Hinkley's come out and said he's going to play mids. He's come out and said he's going to play mids. Today's practice match for Port Adelaide or intra-club match, he played 100% of the intra-club match as a midfielder.
Yeah, I love it. It's impossible for me to keep him out of my squad. I know a lot of people that have faded him and gone sort of a cheaper route out forward. But for me, mate, he averaged 99 Supercoach points last year, and at times looked like he was going to be elite, right? He ripped games apart. Inconsistent at times, I believe, but for the most part, I thought this kid is ready to go. All he needed to get in Supercoach was a forward status, and that's what he got. So into my team straight away as my forward one. He's going to be a set and forget, and I think he might average between 105 and 110 Supercoach points this year. And look, that may hurt guys like Butters and Rosie, but look, this guy was the North Melbourne faithful called him Baby Jesus for a reason, mate. This kid is unbelievable.
Just remind them, just one more time.
Yeah, just the old little tickle of that one. But look, he's just a lock and load at this point, mate. He's awesome. I really like him.
Jack McRae, F2. He's looking like he's going to play some inside midfield at the Saints. So he's a very popular option at F2. So we don't really need to go into him. No. I see you starting with Bailey Smith at F3.
I have, and that may change, might I add, depending on what we see over preseason and what we hear on preseason. If he plays in their first game, he stays in my squad because I honestly, I believe the only position he's good for is an inside mid. Mm-hmm. He's got a real average kick, so he can't play him half forward. He can't really play him on the wing, so he's a bit of a butcher, but he's a fantastic inside mid. So he's exactly what they need. So, perfect. If not, I'll probably fade him for Luke Parker. That's probably where I'm at if I do trade him out, which leads me to Caleb Daniel, I suppose, my forward four.
Do we need to talk about him?
No, not really, but, too cheap to pass up on.
Yeah. You are. It's a classic case is if you're not picking Caleb Daniel, you're trying to outthink the room and you're going to be on the back foot right from the start. So, Elijah Hewitt.
Elijah Hewitt, third year in the system now.
Yeah.
Eagles got a lot of injuries, especially to their gun midfielders too. So the door is wide open for any kid at West Coast to knock the door down. Elijah Hewitt's more of a forward mid as such, explosive forward mid, might I add. So Eagles will just keep blooding kids as the year goes on, and to keep him out is just ridiculous. So he'll play round one. I'm confident by that, and I like him. He just needs to have a good crack at it. Stay healthy.
Yep. He's got some genuine X factor, Elijah Hewitt. For those of you that haven't seen him play, he is a smaller bodied midfielder, but he's got genuine X factor and can use the ball really, really well. So today in their intra-club practice match, he played 70% midfield time, 30% forward. So it looks like the injuries to Yo, the unfortunate ACL to Dom Sheed, looks like he's going to get a real crack in the midfield. Neil Erasmus is your F6. So he did some good things in Freo's intra-club today too, kicked a couple of goals and played through their midfield. Fairly happy locking him into your F6?
Oh, mate, absolutely. The only thing is their midfield's a bit stacked at Freo. So, maybe he plays more half forward as such as the year goes on and then rotates through the midfield. So, look, at 119K as a rookie price, you just want these guys to play, generate some cash early. So we'll see how he lines up in the preseason, but I do believe midfield time is going to be hard for him at the start, but he could work his way in eventually.
Yeah. Dan Curtin on your bench and Sam Davidson on your bench in your forward line. Dan Curtin, as said earlier, he played in the forward line for the Adelaide A team today in their intra-squad match, kicked a couple of goals. Looks like he's really beefed up and looks good with the ball in hand. So at 150K, don't mind that at all. And Sam Davidson, who was awarded the most promising player in the VFL last year, has kicked goals in every intra-club the Western Bulldogs have had so far. Multiple goals. He kicked 3 in their last intra-club in Maroochydore last weekend and looked really nice as a lively half forward. So if he starts early, he's someone that you're potentially going to make a couple $100K out of nice and early.
And all you want from these kids is to play. So, I mean, it's hard to keep them in your side at this point until they see them actually listed and played. So, look, at this point, that'll probably change. But Ian loves you, mate. Ian.
Mick, you're looking good, brother. One person he'd turn for without a doubt. Top 5 hot blokes on the net.
Hopefully I'm in the top 50
Mate, you've got me covered easy. Anyway, I'm blushing here because not even my missus says those kinds of nice words to me. So, have a look at this. Skids fits, same. Oh, stop it. You'll turn me into the Eiffel Tower. I'll get pretty stiff in a minute. Mate, Matt Flynn is in your flex. Talk me through that.
Yeah, so I'm just looking for cash at this point, right? So it looks like he's going to be the number one ruckman at 261K. I think that's pretty much gold.
Yeah.
Look, that could change between now and the start of the year, but for the most point, he's pretty much rucking at the moment for West Coast. Seems like the number one ruck. It's between him and I forgot his name. What's his name?
Bailey Williams.
Yeah. So they're probably going to play both ruckmen, to be fair. And that 260K at this point, he probably stays on my side.
What about if I told you today that Bailey Williams was the ruckman for the A side, and the backup ruckman was Archer Reid?
That would surprise me.
Yep.
That would surprise me.
Well, Archer Reid has been lining up in the forward line in all their practice matches and was relieving Ruck today.
Yeah, that would surprise me if that was to continue. I mean, at this point, they probably need a bit of experience out there too, West Coast. So,
especially without Yo and
I mean, Matt Flynn's not he's not that good, but at least he's an experienced body, been in the system for so long. And you can just plug and play him, and you can work Archer Reid through the waffle, and then eventually he can probably come in. But at this point, hopefully he plays early in the year and generates 150K, ideally, but it won't be 150K, probably be 100K-ish, and then I can upgrade him eventually as well. So,
for sure. We're going to go through your team, mate, and then we're going to go through questions. So, starting from the back line, Harry Sheasel, Lockie Whitfield, James Sicily, Callum Mills, Bo Allen, Saad El-Hawley, James Leake, and Jed Buslinger in your back line. In your mids, Nick Dacos, Caleb Sarong, Tom Green, Clayton Oliver, James Peatling, Ollie Hollins, Jaeger Smith, Levi Ashcroft, Mitch Nevitt, Isaac Kako, and Christian Moraes. In your rucks, Tim English, Tom De Koning, and Harry Boyd. Your forward line, Jason Horne-Francis, Jack McRae, Bailey Smith, Caleb Daniel, Elijah Hewitt, Neil Erasmus, Dan Curtin, Sam Davidson, and Matt Flynn.
That's 50K right there.
What?
That's 50K.
Not only is your internet down, your brain cells are down, mate. Can't
And my team name's Flag Dons too.
Flag Dons. That sort of guarantees you a top 10 finish, doesn't it? So
Not really.
Not really. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some questions.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
All right. There's some rude heads about, and then there's Mick. That's nice.
That's not really a question.
No, it's not. Nice internet morale.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Rankin's wasting all his good footy in the preseason before his hammy pops. Rankin is really interesting for me, mate, because his best footy, he could potentially be a top 2 forward in Supercoach.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we saw it last year.
It's his hamstrings.
Yeah, but we saw it last year. Absolutely carved games apart, right? He was the difference maker in pretty much all their wins they had. And it wasn't many, but, we know how good he is. So if he takes that next step forward in his career, the sky's the limit for him, right? He's a top 5 pick. He looks like he's coming of age now, coming into his better part of his career. I really like him. I really, really like him. And Adelaide at the moment, they're not really going to be contending this year. They're probably going to be finished between the ranks of 10 to 12, I reckon, personally. So they're going to be experimenting throughout the year. And Rankin's he's too good.
Can I tell you? So Rankin started in the AFL system in 2019. The last time he played a full season, never.
Yeah.
Never has Rankin played a full season. That's what scares me.
Absolutely. But we're talking talent here. I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. He's not in my team for that reason. You cannot trust him for a full year. And that's what you're paying for at this point of the year. If you want him in his squad, he's set and forget. You want him for between now and the end of the year. You don't want to trade him out. He's a primo. So the injury risk scares me. So look, he'd be one that I'd be looking into in the second half of the year. And if he plays throughout and stays healthy, then he probably comes into my side. If he's dominating, which I expect he would. But again, that hammy can go at any point, can't it?
I'm scarred. I bought him in when he did the hammy against Collingwood last year. That was his first game in my side.
And then the suspension.
Yep. It burnt me. Anyway, it is what it is. So Skitsfit's booted Clary for Dacos, and he doesn't think he can go back. So he's going to ride the wave of no Clary.
Yeah, I don't like it. I honestly don't like it. I think Clary at this point is just far too ripped. He's looking in fantastic shape. So if we see Clary of old, he's going to be a primo price at any point. I mean, Melbourne aren't looking very good at all. I mean, we've got their first round pick, Mick, so hopefully they go shit house. But
we'll get one top 5 pick, and it won't be because we finished up bottom 5 anyway.
But no, I like Clary too much, mate. This year, I think he's got some redemption. A redemption year for Clary. He owes him one. Yeah,
I think so. Sinclair hamstring today. News to come on how severe that is. What else we got? Rick Edwards. He's got some good insights for those of you that are in our Patreon and WhatsApp page. Rick does pump out some really nice points, really nice AFL knowledge as well. Only concern for English is Darcy and his stats rolled down last year. You're right. I think this year, and this is probably just the footy coach coming out in me. For those of you that don't know, I've been a senior coach in not the AFL system, but in country footy for a number of years. I can see Tim English perhaps sitting back behind the ball. And when the ball's in the forward line, Sam Darcy's going to do the rucking. So then if teams get that quick kick out, they've got that safeguard of having Tim English there. And then you can still use Sam Darcy. He's like 6'100". Like he's huge. Yeah. And his hands are nice. So one, you can isolate him in the forward line if you get some quick ball movement in there early. But two, if you've got stoppages in there, you've got someone like Tim English who's good overhead, can use the ball pretty well as well, sitting back behind the ball. That can be quite dangerous.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about Chesser, I'm just reading Ian. The only thing I don't like about English is he's ruck where he struggles using his body a bit, to be honest.
Yeah.
Gets out muscled a lot. Even though he's big himself, but it's the ruck craft and the use of the body. He just gets outworked. But in saying that, with Darcy, with no Jamara, Darcy will have to play more forward. He will have to, out of just complete need. So, as you said, great hands, great kick. So, with that Jamara, Darcy has to play there, and Tim English will have to play in the ruck. It's just that's how I see it anyway. It's just out of complete need.
Yep, sure. Chris Davis, Horse, are you sold on the horny man yet?
Is that me?
It pains me to say it, mate, but Pickles has entered my side for the first time tonight. About an hour before we went on live, I went through the stats. I've had a look at what he's doing, had a look at the preseason reports coming out of Port Adelaide. Jordan DeSunya from the Keeper League pod, we talk quite a bit, and I think I'm sold. I think I am.
And you know what, mate? We've spoken about this throughout the whole preseason, and you've gone, nah. But now you're in.
Yeah, fuck off, mate.
Welcome.
Come on.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome me. Welcome me in. Thank you.
Well, we're talking about horny, so I can't really welcome you in too much.
How's this? Spoon Dons. How do I block this bloke?
Well, he's not far off.
Why no Campbell Chesser?
Yeah, that made me laugh. Look, mate, I'll leave that to Skitty. He's the Chesser expert. Oh. So he loves him too much. I think he might have like some sort of obsession over Chesser. So I'll leave that one to Skitty, mate.
Yeah. Good point here. Unless Rankin lives in Qatar for a year, I can't do it. Yep. Fair point.
Yeah.
Ian, Sicily would be my main worry. I'm with you, Ian. But if we see in round 0 that Sicily is playing as he has in the past, as that intercepting defender now that he's got Barras back there, and he has Battle, yes, but think of how, and this is what's coloured me interested a little bit. Think of how McGovern was when Barras was down there helping out nullify the big forwards.
Oh, yeah.
So you replace McGovern with Sicily, and that could potentially be the role that Sicily plays this year.
Yeah, and don't forget, Sicily's an elite ball user. Elite. So he's almost like a half backer, the way he uses the ball with his intercepting ability. I love that. Am I worried he plays up forward? As I said before, yeah, I am. But he's too good, man. He's too good. He's far too good to play, to move him. And he's their captain too. He'll set everything up.
Yeah. But my biggest thing is you've got Mitch Lewis, who knee injury.
Yeah.
You've got Cal Shadir with stress fractures in his back. Mabir Chol has shown in the past that he's good at his new club for 1 year and then he fades. So unless Mabir Chol backs up what he did last year, yes, Hawthorn have a really good small forward brigade in Dylan Moore, Nick Watson, Jack Ginnivan, Luke Bruce. For those of you that think Jack Gunston's relevant, I really don't think he is anymore. He's getting a bit long in the tooth, and I think he'd be used really sparingly. If Mabir Chol doesn't fire this year, I can see the Hawks potentially missing the 8.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, you need your big forwards kicking goals.
You do. You do. And that might spark them to move Sicily then, if that's the case. It may. But at this point, early in the year, Sicily will play down back, in my opinion, and he'll stay there. But that hurts me pains me to say that I might have to trade him out if he does move forward, because that does hurt his Supercoach stocks.
Yeah. Ian, not in my team yet, but McGovern is interesting with the outs they've had. The ball, with the outs they've got at the moment, Ian, the ball may live down there. So I don't mind that. But Sicily was really good when he had bigger bodied defenders to nullify the key defenders from other teams. When you look at West Coast, they've just lost Barras. They don't have the depth at key back to what West Coast did when McGovern was rolling around last year. So McGovern may have to play more of a strict man-on-man role because teams will cotton onto that and try and go through the man that McGovern's on. So that's something we're going to have to watch in the preseason again.
My biggest concern, though, with McGovern, and not his price is large, $594K. But I'm going to go through his matches played over the last 5 years.
Yeah, please
19, 9, 10, 15, 11.
Really? So 19 last year was the most he'd played in 5 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So for me, as much as I like McGovern as a player, A, do I think he's got to be more of a lockdown defender? Sure. But B, injury riddled to the max.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do us for tonight. Maverick, we did shout out at the start of the podcast. You are our lead analyst with all things NFL on the Inside Fantasy Sports Network. Where can people find you, mate?
IFS Maverick, mate. We are in the off-season. Super Bowl's Monday, might I add. So big day in the NFL world on Monday. I'm unfortunately going to be working, but huge. But you can catch me on IFS Maverick. We are starting up our show next week over the whole preseason, covering Dynasty NFL for pretty much the most part of the off-season until about July, where we start going back into the redraft season. So new cast this year, man. I'm absolutely pumped to get stuck into it. I absolutely love it. Good. It pains me to say the NFL season's over, but yeah.
Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Hey?
Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Well, probably the Chiefs, but I hate both teams, so I hope it's just a overtime central and the game never ends. But probably the Chiefs.
Okay, score?
21-17.
And your MVP?
Well, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. They want him to be the next GOAT, so It's that's locked in.
Yeah, gotcha. No worries. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard from the man himself. Follow IFS Maverick on Twitter, on social media. Go follow the NFL Network on Insight Fantasy Sports NFL on all good audio platforms as well. They do start their dynasty work next week. So if you like your NFL footy, want to get involved in dynasty leagues, or just want to listen for a bit of a chuckle and get to know NFL a bit more, tune into the guys. They definitely know their shit and have helped me even make my first final series this year. And I know fuck all about NFL. So thank you, boys. For us, we've got a fair bit coming up, ladies and gentlemen. So we've got more team reveals coming up. We've got positional analysis. We've got some stuff on some buy strategy that we're going to be running inside our Patreon. So if you're a member of our Patreon, you can sign up for free. That's fine. It'll only be direct to you. Okay, we're going to give you guys the maximum amount of information to set you guys up before the AFL season starts. So down below in the description, click the link, select AFL, go for free, happy days. If you do want to be a paying member, it is a cup of coffee per month, $6 per month. You'll get invited into our special WhatsApp group. We've got experts in there, 2 top 300 finishers from last year, a specialist writer who was with Dr. Supercoach for a long time, got Deadly in there that's got all things statistics in the background and has really impressed me with the work that he's done. And my man Skiddy, you know he's good for a laugh. So it's just a really good community that we've got there. If you want to get involved, ladies and gentlemen, click the link below. But for tonight, thank you for coming on, Maverick. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, mate, even though it might have been a bit untoward a few times, but we got there.
It's all right. We'll go down to Aldi and buy you some internet, mate. We'll look after you.
Aldi might be better, mate.
Before we do leave, sorry, I do want to bring up that round 0, Brisbane versus Geelong, the very first time we're going to be commentating an AFL game. That's right. From a Supercoach point of view, the horse, Joe, from the centre bounce, is going to be joining me, and we're going to have a lot of other special guests on that show. You're not going to want to miss that. We've also got, for the first time ever, Supercoach Draft live here on the Insight Fantasy Sports next Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. I'm going to be putting that up on the socials tonight. We'd appreciate a pre-thumb and a pre-like if you want to get involved in Supercoach drafting. It's basically there. It's a mock draft, and you can see what players are going where, in what drafts, how to fill up your back lines, your forward lines, your mids, and your rucks at what stage in order to give you guys the best opportunity to win your Supercoach draft leagues this year. I'm the horse. This is Maverick. We're out. We'll see you soon.